Intel just released proves chilling way America is being actively invaded behind our backs. This is Chilling by Lady Liberty for VeteranAF.com. If you are a liberal who is hell-bent on overpopulating America with immigrants of all kinds, you may enjoy the news that DACA is much more than anyone originally thought. If you are a logical conservative who wants to see our country thrive on a healthy and regulated immigration policy that provides less to those undeserving and more to actual citizens, whether born here or here legally, then be prepared to be highly disappointed. The so-called DREAM Act appears to only be afforded to dreamers with an agenda to force a literal population takeover of America by becoming what is called a chain migration that would flood our country from sea to shining sea with those who quite often consume and abuse welfare systems and financially bankrupt countries. The kicker is that the chain part pertains to the 6 family members that each immigrant is permitted to bring, and they will be covered under their station as a DACA resident. That would literally fill our country to almost 3 times our own population. According to Breitbart, the Democrats' draft DREAM Act amnesty would likely add as many chain migration foreigners to the United States population as are added by the total number of Americans who are born in 4 years' time. As House and Senate Republicans, Democrats, the big business lobby, the cheap labor industry, and the open borders lobby have teamed up to push an amnesty for potentially millions of illegal aliens who are enrolled and eligible for the President Obama-created Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals DACA program. The impact the move would have on Americans would be likely unprecedented. What's equally as chilling, it was revealed that this massive immigration is being done to purposefully bring our country to her knees. Recently, a transcript former Democratic Governor Richard D. Lamb was released in 2004, where Lamb revealed liberals' sinister 7-step plan to destroy America. One of the key facets of their unbelievable plan is through massive immigration. That's what George Soros wants too. Under the current legal immigration system, immigrants who are given a pathway to U.S. citizenship are eventually allowed to bring extended family members, children, their parents, siblings, and extended family members to the country. This process, which makes up more than 70% of the current legal immigration, is what's known as chain migration. Research by the Migration Policy Institute MPI reveals that under a DACA amnesty deal between about 800,000 and 3.5 million illegal aliens could be eligible for legalization to permanently remain in the U.S. Of those, MPI notes that 1.5 million of the estimated 3.5 million would be allowed to obtain U.S. citizenship. According to Princeton University researchers Stacy Carr and Marta Tienda, newly naturalized Mexican immigrants in the U.S. bring an average of 6 foreign relatives with them. Therefore, should all 1.5 million amnestied illegal aliens bring 6 relatives each to the U.S., that would constitute a total chain migration of 9 million new foreign nationals entering the U.S. John Binder, imagine if 3.3 million illegal aliens got amnesty, they could bring 6 relatives each to U.S. That's 19 million new people. If the number of amnestied illegal aliens who gained a pathway to citizenship under an amnesty plan were to rise to the full 3.3 million, and if each brought in 3 to 6 foreign family members, the chain migration flow could range from 9.9 million to 19.8 million foreign nationals coming to the U.S. This chain migration flow, triggered by a DACA amnesty, where an end to chain migration is not coupled with the plan, would be more than double the number of babies born in the U.S. every single year, which stands at about 4 million a year. Should a DACA amnesty trigger a chain migration flow of 19 million foreign nationals, it would be more than quadruple the number of American births every year. The chain migration of a DACA amnesty would potentially outpace the populations of American cities like New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Houston. Such a chain migration would boom the number of foreign-born residents in the U.S. to a historic high. Currently, the foreign-born population is already at historic levels, reaching 44 million. This year, with no end in sight, as legal immigration reductions to give relief to Americans working and middle classes are stalled in Congress. Trump has previously stated that an amnesty deal for DACA illegal aliens would have to include an end on chain migration in order to stop surges of legal immigration to the U.S., though it remains unclear how many Republicans would be willing to break from their big business donors to help pass a law to end chain migration. Most recently, a group of senators released legislation known as the Secure Act that would end chain migration, thus reducing legal immigration to 500,000 admissions a year to give relief to Americans, but couples the pro-American immigration reform with an amnesty for DACA illegal aliens. Nearly 120,000 foreign nationals have been allowed to enter the U.S. since 2005, despite coming from countries designated as state sponsors of terrorism, including Iran, Syria, and Sudan, Breitbart News reported. In total, about 9.3 million foreign nationals have entered the U.S. since 2005 because of chain migration, making it the largest driver of illegal immigration to the country. As Breitbart reported, chain migration makes up more than 70% of all legal immigration, with every 2 new immigrants bringing 7 foreign relatives with them. Don't think this is really possible? Well, watch this eye-opening video. While so many are acting angry over the crap hole comment that wasn't even said by our president, take a moment to think about the implications of millions of citizens of those specific type of countries coming into our country. Why did they run from their own countries to begin with? I can tell you why. They live in crap holes, and they will have no more regard or respect for our country than they did for their own. This type of an infiltration is part of a highly planned and staged agenda to bring America to its knees so that it can be claimed that to fix it, we must succumb to a communistic reign for the good of the people. Just look at Europe, Australia, and any other area where a mass influx of immigrants and refugees has literally taken over. California, for that matter, one of our own states, has become such a filthy crap hole that most won't travel there for vacations like they used to, which in turn kills the economy. Tent cities are lining the streets in front of Bay Area mansions. It is simply really mass migration. Mass migration comes with a plan and consequences that no country can survive. Do you want that in full force in America? Ready or not, it's coming if the Democrats aren't stopped. Yeah, and when they say there are no 2 parties, no, there are 2 parties. There are, because we have totally different belief systems. We don't want this. Let's take a quick listen here.
Number one, I'd make it a bilingual.
Let's see. Sorry about that.
I would like to share with you my plan to destroy America. Number one, I'd make it a bilingual, bicultural country. History shows us that no bilingual, bicultural country lives at peace with itself. There's not one, I believe, that doesn't exist with an incredible amount of tension and conflict, if not civil war. My second part of my plan would be to invent something called multiculturalism. This would be two parts. Number one, I would say that all cultures are created equal. It would make no difference and would make it impossible to talk about such things as culture. And the second one is that I would really try very hard to make people continue their cultural identity. My third part of my plan would be to make the fastest growing demographic group in that country the least educated. I would add a second underclass to the first underclass, unassimilated, undereducated, antagonistic, and then I'd have 50% of them drop out of school, not graduate from high school. The fourth part of my plan would be to get the big foundations to fund, and big business to fund these efforts with lots of money. I would invest in ethnic identity and victimology. I would get them to think about their lack of success was only the fault of the majority. The fifth part of my plan is I would develop dual citizenship. I would promise people actually divided loyalties. The sixth part, and this is important, I would place all of these subjects off limits. I would make it taboo to talk about, actually, or criticize this whole thing. I would make it come up with a word like heretic used to be 200 years ago. Let's say we'd call it racist. And I would try to accuse anybody of this that would object to my ideas. My seventh part then, I would make it impossible to enforce our immigration laws. I would develop a mantra, let's call it this, that because immigration has been good in the past for America, it will continue to be good in the future.
Isn't that frightening? Isn't that frightening? Isn't that frightening? So now this guy, he was the one that was talking about that he wanted to do that. I mean, is that frightening? And that is what George Soros's plan is, and that's what's taking place. This is really scary, and it's changing the foundation of who we are in America. I mean, it's like what it used to be. That's why Europe is being, you know, bombarded. But now they're starting to wake up. Hey, we can't handle all of this. They want to make everything, that's the New World Order agenda. Dumb down and, you know, handing you out what they feel that that they want to give you. Like a communism and worse than that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.